Amjad Taha, a political strategist and analyst from the UAE, is a prominent figure in global geopolitics. He's appeared on various media platforms, including CNN and Fox News, Sky News, and numerous Arab media outlets. He's also the author of The Deception and has an upcoming book, Philosophy of Peace.
Well, to start with, thank you for having me. And I'm proud to be from a country, UAE, a country that doesn't think anti-Semitism is an opinion. In my country, I'm proud to say anti-Semitism is a crime, not an opinion. In my country, in one of the graduation that we had in one of the universities, one student comes from the United States of America, dead, to raise the flag of some other country which actually would upset the Jewish community and the Jewish student there. 3 hours after that, they were on the airplane deported to the United States of America. And also I am from a country that makes it very clear. Muslim Brotherhood, which Hamas is the armed forces of it, is banned. We banned them. We banned the Muslim Brotherhood. But you know where is Muslim Brotherhood is active? It's active in Columbia's university. I went to Columbia's university for one reason. Me and Lu'ay and others with us, we went to Columbia's university for one reason, because we think when the Holocaust happened, there are people who celebrated it. There are people who participated in it. And there are people up to this stage, they denied it. And when the 7th of October happened, humanity was tested again. There are people who actually celebrated it, all the way in DC streets and in London. There are people who actually, up to this point, academics and intellectuals who are denying it. And there are people, those people we want to be, who put the hand for that Jewish family, for that baby Kafir's family, and to say, we don't stand with the kidnapper of yours. We stand with the humanity. We stand with that woman. We stand with a nation that survived before. And I'm proud to say, when I saw what I saw there, it was a student. Those were not student, Jewish normal student. They were not. I don't think any Jewish student is a normal student in any university, the ones I came across. They're not. They're soldiers. The real soldiers. They stood as people were chanting against them, against their identity, against King David's star. And I seen it when they snatched it from a girl, a student girl. I saw that. But she came back again and again. And she goes back and she studies. Be proud of yourself if you're from that nation. I think what happened was very negative, right. But in the same time, I think it's also positive. In a sense that maybe a lot of the Jewish community needed this awakening. Maybe many of those students were not awake of their responsibility towards civilization, towards their own country, their own identity. They were not active enough. Maybe when you were not active enough, the other side was active, and it was very active in poisoning those students. I mean, we have in Gaza those hostages that we pray for them to be freed all. But in the same time, all the way in New York and DC, you have people who are hostages of the propaganda of Hamas all the way there. So we have two types of hostages. For those we pray, for this one, I don't know if we pray or we should take more action to educate, because they can be at one point be used against their own society and community, and they can become at one day a small anonymous educator in a university and teaching you a certain ideology that would not support the civilization. I think it's very important that we acknowledge, one, there was a lack of participation. There was at one point the students, they were not, you need to represent your identity more. And you should ask the question, yes, you have freedom of speech, okay, but it's not a holy book. It can be reviewed, it can be changed. If a person all the way in Dubai can wear a kippah and show his identity, and can have in New York University, in Abu Dhabi, he can put his kippah and not be bullied or insulted, or not even one case. We have 80,000 students, international students, not even one case of anti-Semitism. But that is not the case in Columbia's University or New York University or other university. Then you have an issue. That should be investigated and looked into.
No.
What gives us hope is this, is us here. It's me and the rabbi has been speaking for weeks to make this happen. It's the fact that he invited us. The fact that this 5 years ago would have not existed. We never had this relationship. The fact that I'm sitting here speaking about it. The fact that we hear each other gives us a lot of hope. The fact that when speaking about the Holocaust education, I disagree with you on the fact that it has a huge effect. And in fact, in my country, we have Holocaust education, and we have the Holocaust Memorial Gallery that exists in Dubai. The fact that when we have the synagogue right next to a mosque, right next to a judge in the Abrahamic family house, right in the center of Abu Dhabi, right in the center of the Middle East, it sends a great signal. And the fact that when the 7th of October happened, they thought, you know what? That's the end of the Abrahamic Accord, and they're going to close the embassy. We didn't. The ambassador of Israel was walking around Dubai and Abu Dhabi with his guards and his people. Literally didn't have any insult, and he was operating. The embassy did not. It's the only embassy actually in the Middle East that did not close. That's what your students, they need to hear. That's the light. That's the light in the darkness. You know, when it's too dark, maybe you are the light in that darkness. The fact that 106 air flights that goes back and forth before and after the 7th of October, they did not stop a day, even though the American airline, the British airline and others, they stopped. We didn't stop. Some of the reserves, they went back and they fought those evil Hamas terrorists because they went through the transport and the transfer and so on. And I'll finish with this. Tell those students that they do not know what's happening in the Middle East, and you live far away from the Middle East for you to be an expertise. You cannot sit here and tell me your expertise in the Middle East. I live 2 hours away from Iran, 3 hours away from Afghanistan, 3 hours away from Iran. Not the best place to be at, but we know what we're talking about. When Gaza had about 80, literally 8 children suffering from cancer. Because of the Abrahamic Accord and the relationship that UAE has with the State of Israel, we communicated. The Israeli government helped to put them on the aircraft, send them from Ramon Airport all the way in Dubai where they're getting treated. They're no longer a human shield for Hamas, and those children are getting treated because of Israel and UAE. That's the future.
Thank you for that.